I think I just told you to steal third base. I don't know. Jody's already in the house. Welcome, Jody. Welcome to Cooperville Live. It's a beautiful day for you to be here, for me to be here, for all of us to gather together and talk about all of the things. We talk all of the things here. Big show today. Excited for today's show. Hopefully you are as well. Don't forget to engage in the comments. Jody's already on it. Ricky Armellino is coming on the show a little bit later on. And chat with him. Hawk, Ice 9 Kills, producer, engineer, songwriter, mixer, dog lover. He's all the things combined into one human being, which is fantastic. Love it. He's going to be on in just a bit. Wherever you're watching, thank you. Facebook Live on the Cooperville Live page. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/Cooperville Live. Got that vanity URL. Feeling pretty popular these days. And while you're there, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube. And, of course, the Twitch. Twitch.tv/No Limit Cooper. Or if you're already a Twitcher, then just search No Limit Cooper. All one word. It's right down there. And give a follow. Follow us on Twitch. I've been contemplating doing like a Twitch Tuesday where we only do the show on Twitch. That may be coming soon. If you are a member of our Patreon, you'll find out first, which you can become if you check out the comments. I just posted the link. We post all of our stuff before it hits the social medias, where we talk about it on the show. All of it's there. So do it. Join our Patreon. Find out first. Twitch Tuesdays has a nice ring to it. And we'll do Twitch Tuesdays and YouTube, I don't know, Wednesday? We'll figure it out. Jody's over on the Twitch now. Thank you, Jody. Love the Twitch. So, yeah, Ricky's going to join us here in about 15 minutes. Chat, thanks. Do have to give a special shout-out to that Captain Coops, yo. That's the shit right there. That's my beard company. You want a magnificence like this? You get to Captain Coops. As we say, better beard, better booty. Speaking of that, we just watched a Pirates kind of docu-series thing on Netflix. It was actually really well done. Blackbeard and all this stuff. It was pretty cool. The sexiness of piracy and how much the Brits hated it. It's cool. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's something about pirates on Netflix. It's one of the top shows that they have on Netflix. So it's going to be in your things to watch. I'm sure of it. 100% sure of it. So make sure you check that out. And CaptainCoops.com, of course, is a website. We're going to be doing, and again, this is a Patreon thing. So if you're a member of our Patreon, you'll know about this first. We're going to throw some exclusive offers in there to get you some discounts. So whether we do like a 25% off or whatever, we got beard oils, we got beard balm, we got beard butter for those who are super intense about their beard, which I hear actually works well if you are a mustache aficionado as well. So if you have the thing, I used to have the thing when I first started growing this. They had this big, like Wyatt Earp style mustache. But every time I would eat, it was a mess. Like, don't take me out in public, because it was like, oh, you got some stuff going on here. And I had a little comb. I just ended up saying fuck it and ended up cleaning things up on the mustache thing. But if you have a mustache, if that is your jam, Captain Coop's beard butter, I hear, works amazing. So there's another option for you in your facial hair growth, whatever you're trying to do. I had a guy yesterday who hit me up and was talking about getting started growing the beard. And I was like, man, here's the key, man. Hydration, conditioning, all the stuff, all natural ingredients in Captain Coop's. Here's the oil. There it is right there. Well, that's like Captain's Quarters. Good stuff right there. I hear the ladies love that. I've heard that. So check out CaptainCoops.com for all your beard stuff. There you go, Jody. Your bearded sons, they need some of that Captain Coop's goodness. Girlfriend loves it. Sometimes she steals it. It's a great body butter too. It's multi-purpose, people. Multi-purpose. But I digress. Check out CaptainCoops.com. I'd appreciate it. Helps support all the things we have going on here. And the Patreon helps support all the things we have going on here. See, it's all about support. Support me, support you, team effort, go team, all the stuff. So that's cool. Ricky Armellino is going to be on, and I am so excited for this conversation. We're going to talk a lot about music. We're going to talk a lot about production and all the cool stuff that he's into. So stick around for that. And if you have questions, if you want to get yourself involved, of course, you can always do that in the comment sections of wherever you're watching. Just pop in a comment. It pops up on my screen. It's over here. And we'll pop them in just like we did with Jody's comments, and you can be a part of the show. It's completely interactive. And if you haven't noticed yet, we've been publishing the podcasts of all of our guests that have been on, so you can check that out. Go to any podcast platform and search "Welcome to Cooperville." Make sure you leave a nice rating on there if you enjoy what you're hearing, and subscribe so you can get the updates every time we drop a new episode. We just tossed out the Bill Michaels one yesterday, and we have more to come. It's a finite process. It's like a triple-headed animal around here trying to get all the things maneuvered, and we're looking at a studio upgrade too. So any way you can support is awesome, and we appreciate all of you for being a part of what we have going on right here on Cooperville Live. Another beautiful day here in Wisconsin. Hopefully your weather has been cooperating with you as well. We've had this string of, I want to say strange weather, but significantly above average temperatures for what I would call early April. It was another almost 80-degree day today. Then we got some rain. It kind of cooled off a little bit. Now the sun's back out. So now it's going to be hot and humid in April, which for us is very strange because last year at this time, there was a foot of snow on the ground. So we have this special bond with our weather here. It's like dealing with a schizophrenic, because you never know. You walk out one day and you're like, holy shit, it's 80 degrees and sunny. You walk out the next day and you could have a foot of snow. You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to adjust. And we do our best to do all those things up here. But another great day. Got after it this morning. Hopefully you did too. Getting those runs in the morning. It's been nice. It hasn't been cold out. It's been beautiful mornings. We got some rain yesterday afternoon too. So, I run by the mighty Chippewa River, the river that feeds the Lonnie Kugel's Brewing Company with fantastic water for your ice cold Lonnie's brew. They don't sponsor the show yet, but I thought I'd throw that out there. Run along the river, and you have you have fog lifting over the water. It's just picturesque. There's wildlife running around. There's gooses and geese and ducks and deer. The other day, if you follow me on Instagram or follow me on Facebook, you've seen some of those videos. I was literally running down a trail in the woods, and a couple of white-tailed deer just flew right by. Luckily, caught it on the capture. So you can check those out on the Insta. I'm at Instagram. I'm No Limit Cooper Official. So if you don't follow me on there, please go and do so. And the show, obviously, Cooperville Live on Instagram as well. We do a lot of our stuff on Instagram, and that feeds to Facebook, and we get you all involved and all that cool shit as well. So really exciting stuff. Really riveting things happening. And I'm glad that you are enthralled by it as we are. Just to kind of jump ahead to the week as we get set for tomorrow's show. We have a big show coming up tomorrow too. This has been great. We're starting to get, and Jody, I have to say thanks to you for setting this up with Ricky, and we're working on Cane Hill as well. We're going to get that done hopefully for next week. But a lot of people are starting to reach out and want to be a part of the show and be a part of what we're doing and talking about things. And as we start to get touring kind of fired up, there's some bands coming through town. The Otherwise guys will be in town next week. Jody, I know you got a couple of shows that you're hitting up in the southern part of the state, so excited to see them. But as we start to do this, we really want to get involved with more of these artists, because you have a chance to really have an elongated conversation. For a guy that did 20 years in radio, right? 20 years. When you have a band come through, usually it's really quick. Like you get 10 minutes. 10 minutes is what you get. And then poof, they have to go. And you can really only get so much conversation out in 10 minutes. That's why I love this format, the format where we really have no time limit. We can go as long as we want. Conversation is more in depth to get to really know the artist. So what we're trying to do is really start to implement this as part of really any artist who's going anywhere, because we're not obviously centralized here in Wisconsin. If a band has a show in Lancaster, PA, proud home of Ricky, who's going to be on the show in just a bit. But they have the show in Lancaster. They just, we'll tag it Lancaster. And they can talk about that show, talk about all the other shows. It's got so much more gravitational pull that, we're really going to start engaging as we get closer to touring season, as things start to open up. We got two major music festivals, well, three major music festivals, two that I'm a part of here in my neck of the woods. We're going to start making some shit happen. Got some comments coming. My brother Chris in the house. How you doing, man? Got that bike out. I bet you got that bike out, given this nice weather we've had over the course of the last couple of days. Got that Harley out and rolling. Arzu, how are you doing? Hello. Thank you for commenting, watching on the YouTube over there. Isla. I don't know why I put an accent on that, but hey, how you doing? And yeah, Jody, let's do some things. You got, let's make some things happen here on the program. But we have a big show coming up tomorrow. I will let you know, Mr. Peyton Smith will be on the program tomorrow. He's doing a takeover of like CMT, their Instagram on Friday. And on Thursday, he's going to be on my show. So do you notice the gravitational pull? Do you notice it? It's getting bigger by the second. So we're excited. And a super secret guest coming up on Friday. So that's exciting too. If you remember the Patreon, which you can join in the comment sections, by the way, you will know after this show who will be coming up on Friday. It's gonna be a banger, is what it's gonna be on Friday's program. So please feel free to involve yourself. What else is going on in the world? Baseball season in full effect. It's been weird listening to baseball again after last year's really shortened season. I'm not a huge baseball guy, but like if I'm on my way home from work, I work out at the festivals and I get done and on the way home and the game is on, it's awesome. It's fantastic that we have baseball back and there's some fans in the stands. Brewers are playing the Cubs, so you have the ambiance of Wrigley Field. Wednesday after, is it Tuesday or it's Wednesday, right? Yeah, it all runs together. Really cool stuff though. You're starting to see some elements of normalcy that are coming back, and it's just wild to go. Yeah, like 2019, a baseball game was on the radio. You're like, whatever. It was 182 games. We're gonna be fine. But now you're like, holy shit! Like this is really happening. It's weird what a year of things being taken away can do for your mind, man. You gotta keep that stuff strong. And but it was cool. It was cool to be able to hear that stuff, hear the games going on, and really interesting how a year plus in now to the pandemic that we're starting to see things open up. That's great. Texas Stadium, Rangers, man, full capacity down in the great state of Texas, man. They're not fucking around down there. Florida, same thing. I think Milwaukee's at like 30% cap for the fans, which is weird. It's weird. But you see that, and you see, two festivals I'm a part of. We're locked and loaded, man. We're reviving the Valley. We are reviving the Valley. Two major festivals, Rock Fest and Country Fest. I'm a part of both of them. And we all like Donkey Kong, man. All like Donkey Kong. Smaller venue stuff starting to pop up too. A couple of great shows I mentioned otherwise. I know Framing Hanley is going to be in. I'm going to try to get Nixon on the show, talk about that. Really starting to see things start to open up because you have bands that are just itching. They're just itching to get out and play shows. And you have fans. I mean, Jody, I know you're ready to get out and do some shows. I'm sure a lot of you who are here to enjoy my chat with Ricky are dying to get out and see some shows, and you're starting to see it happen. We had Jason Charles Miller on yesterday on the show, who's out in LA, and it's strange to talk to somebody, from California. My mom lives out there. As I mentioned, I have a cousin, Nick, who lives down in Southern California, and talk about things that are still like really tightly locked down. And they're talking about June, getting things open back up. It's weird because here we're kind of feeling the flow, especially in Chippewa County where I'm from, festivals and things are opening up. I'm doing some stuff with the Chamber of Commerce that we're going to talk to different establishments, talk about all the fun stuff they got going on in the summer. And he talked to Jason yesterday, and he's like, man, we're just waiting for shit to open up. It's strange. I'm like, you know what? Make the trip over here to Wisconsin. It's like yesterday it was like 80 degrees and sunny. I'm like, man, it's basically feeling like California weather up here. You might as well make the trip, jam out, do some shows, like get in on it, enjoy it. But it's great to start seeing tour posters. You never really appreciate a tour poster until you don't see one for an entire year. And if you do, it's like live streamed. You're like, well, okay, but can I pay way too much for a beer and have it spilled on me and rock out at a show? Can I have all those things happen? Because I'll pay extra. That was a great meme that was going around for the longest time. Was I really would like to be overpaying for a beer right now at a concert or a festival, and we're starting to see those kind of things come back into fruition. So there's plenty to look forward to on that front. I'll be interested to get Ricky's take on things, as he's out in Pennsylvania, what the vibe is like out there, and we all just want to see a show. Jody, Jody, how many shows are you going to? Did you say 2 or 3? I know you got tax season coming up here, but you mentioned a couple of shows that you were going to be heading out to in the next week or so, as on the Otherwise tour, the Tiger's Blood tour with the Otherwise boys, as good stuff. Those fellas, got to get them back on here, but they're back on the road, doing great stuff. Looking forward to seeing them live in concert next week. Let's see. It's on me. Try to quick math here. I think it's next Wednesday. Their show is. I think it's Wednesday the 14th. I think Jody's going to 4 or 5. Yeah, I'll make that one in Chippewa. It's on the 14th, I believe. It's the day before tax day, so I think that's the date. I could be wrong. I don't have the Tiger's Blood itinerary here on all of the screens. 1, 2, 3. There's 4 screens pointed at me right now. None of them have the Tiger's Blood tour on it. Shame on me. The Patrick brothers would be so upset if they knew. That's right. IRS moving it to May. I read about that. You're still going to be busy, I'm sure, though, as people can try to get their stuff done. Get some money back or pay some money in. All depends. That's going to be weird. I'm interested. I have my tax guy looking at my stuff from all the businesses and things. I'm like, oh, please. But payments are still due on the 15th of April. So correct me if I'm wrong here, Jody. So what the government is saying basically is like, if you owe them money, it's due on the 15th. But if they owe you money, they're like, take a bit. Like, take a minute. Take a month. Screw it. Jody has probably all the insight on here. Yep, that's what it is. Yep, she says. Yep, that's what it is. If you owe them, it's due on the 15th. If they owe you, take some time. Take a minute. Do your thing. Crazy stuff. Again, thank you all of you for being a part of today's program. I see Ricky is in the green room. We're going to bring him into the show. Ricky, how you doing?
I'm not getting any audio.
You're not getting my audio?
Can't hear you.
Well, that's no
sorry.
bueno.
Let me see if I can figure this out. You might want to pull me out for.
I'll pull you out here quick, and it's always an audio issue sometimes. The interface is something weird, but we'll get it squared away. I'm gonna shoot him a little message here, see if we can't do all the things up. But it's there. He's gonna jump out and jump back in. That's I don't want to say that's the government at work, but that's the government at work, isn't it? Like, All right. So she's going to correct it. If you owe on your tax return, it's not due till 5/17. If you make estimates, okay, gotcha. They're still due in April. Gotcha. Okay, that all makes sense. But still, we'll extend it. They're really just trying to screw you up, Jody. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to throw you off. Like, wait, what date? And they just made that decision like a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? It was just a few weeks ago they made that weird choice to extend it to the 17th of May. I don't know. It's weird. I'm not a tax guy. That's why I have a tax guy. We're gonna see if Ricky can hear me. See if he can give me a thumbs up. Give me a wave. Yep, got a head nod. I think we're good to go. Now we're in business.
I was using a different browser. And the email did specify Chrome or Firefox, but I was like, I'm going to use Brave.
I'm gonna branch out and see what I can make happen. How you doing, Ricky?
I'm well. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Doing well. It's nice to meet you as well. Excited for our conversation. Jody's up chatting you up in the comment sections here. So
Jody's saving me money. I think she's actually making me money too. So that's something about a PPP loan.
Oh yeah, she's a magic individual when it comes to.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I should get her on board as my tax person because I know she does a lot of stuff for a lot of guys and gals
I
that have
I
done for.
I already assumed that she was that this was the connection.
Oh no, Jody
Oh,
and I go like we band stuff because I did rock radio for 20 years.
oh hell yeah.
And so, I'm a part of Rock Fest, which I know Ice Nine Kills was at a couple of years ago in Cadott, Wisconsin.
I've got a
Uh,
really good Rock Fest story. Was that was the one with we had like the tornado scare, right?
yeah, that was the
Yeah.
Five Finger. It was on that Friday night. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
100 degrees during the day, and then all
I
of a
was on
sudden,
the
like,
phone. Well, my dad's a pilot, so I was on the phone with him. Like, we had I was talking about weather patterns because the sky was starting to look fucking dicey,
yeah.
and everybody's getting in a bus. I'm like, I'll call my dad. My 30s, calling my dad. Dad,
What should we do?
I was like, can you look at the weather? And and he's my dad. He's great, but he has a very calming way about him, even in bad situations. Like I've been in his plane since I was like 3,
Right.
and that thing can catch some turbulence because it's a small one.
Mhm.
And we've had a couple near death scenarios, like flying through lightning storms and stuff. And all he does, he gives me one of those,
Good.
like he
Good
might,
fun.
like his mic's on.
He's
I
like,
call him, and
"Good thumbs up."
he's like, "Oh, bud, yeah, yeah, it's looking, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Do you know which direction southwest is? All right, well, bud, I'll let you know. If you got to get on foot and head southwest. When I let you know." And I was like, "On foot?" He was like, "On foot's probably going to be your best bet."
Hmm.
And being all calm about it.
Yeah, on foot, like, and you were there, so like on foot is basically through like a cornfield, like over a fence through a cornfield, through
Yeah.
like a cow pasture. Yeah.
I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Cornfields of me, where I'm very familiar with them. I've been chased through several. I was a prankster, like bad pranks too. I don't feel comfortable talking. I brought up some of the pranks we used to do. We wouldn't steal anything.
Right.
It wasn't theft.
Mhm.
We don't want to steal anything. We just wanted to break people's doors open and scream as loud as we could into their house and leave behind whatever fucking dynamic we made in that family. You know what I mean? Having trouble getting to bed, arguing and shit. But no, was a second story about Rockfest, which I loved. I loved this. And it was actually, I thought the audience hated us, and I had the most fun set that I've played in years. Because if you remember,
Mhm.
there was a pit area, and then there was an area where all the people go, and all the people were just back there. And there was like a couple people in the pit, and I just remember being like, "This is great," because there's like, you know what I mean? It's like Ice Nine Kills is like they're doing really well. We're doing really well.
Right.
It's fun. You know what I mean? We're playing like headlining shows, a lot of sellouts, and then you finally get the one show where like everybody fucking hates you. And like I'm the guy that loves it. So I'm on stage just like, fuck off. All right, can I swear?
Yeah, we're not governed by the
Fuck
FCC.
all of you. I'm yelling the funniest things I could think of, like things I'm not gonna say right now, but I say, and like there's like somebody in the front who's like laughing because they can hear me because I'm far away. I'm like standing on like the catwalk, out as far as I can go, like, you motherfuckers. And so afterwards, one of the guys is like, bummed out. He's like, I'm so bummed out about what happened with the pit. I was like, I thought it was great. That was the most fun I've had. And they were like, no, there isn't it. I guess there was a reason why, and it had nothing to do with the fans. And those were all our fans who wanted to be down, but they couldn't. I'm not exactly sure what happened. And I was kind of bummed out afterwards. They were like, no, we had a great crowd reception. It was just there was an issue getting people to the pit. I remember being like, oh.
It hadn't started storming when you guys were on it. It was still hot.
No, it was still hot out.
Yeah.
But I guess it just whatever reason the pit wasn't open yet.
Well,
and it made me have fun.
Well, that's really at the end of the day. So you kind of experienced all forms of life, and one day you had fun. You had you enjoyed yourself on the show, even though the pit was empty. And then
I had time with my dad.
Hey,
a high
Dad,
danger scenario, which I'm used to.
So Southwest. Okay, this is good. There's a fence in a building here. We're gonna be fine. It'll be all right.
I just blurted out Southwest. It was the first diagonal direction I could think of. Don't check Google.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where the cloud line was coming in, but that was the visual, because I remember obviously being there.
There's
But
a visual for sure.
Yeah, Five Finger did like a they did like a video and they put it out on YouTube or on Insta or something of that whole thing. They must have been filming for some other reason.
Yeah.
And then they showed it and all like the backstage stuff and like all the band just like standing, like clear sky behind them, and then in front of them it looks like fucking death is on the way. Like
I remember there was a point like everybody's in their buses because I guess that was what was recommended. Like, hey, go stay inside of something that can get sucked into a tornado.
No,
We're like, all right, got it.
So it seems like a good plan.
Yeah, all right. All right, you just said that, and all right. We're like musicians, like aging musicians, so like it's like there's no even kidding anyone anymore. We don't know shit. You know what I mean? It was just basically grown ass children. You know, it's just like go wait in the bus. And you're like, oh, really? All right. Well, I have literally no information to refute that. So okay. So I call my dad.
Right.
And then there's a certain point where I think everybody just got bored enough to just walk out, and and there's just everybody from Rockfest is just standing out there looking at the sky, and every now and then somebody gives a concerned, like, you know, with their phones out. And, you know,
well, you got to capture that shit.
Every now and then you hear people making a statement as the sad state of affairs, or like look at everybody on their phones taking pictures of the tornado, not seeing the danger coming. It's like, I think they're aware. I think just at this point, it's like, oh, yeah, get some pictures of this shit.
Yeah, if I'm going down on Facebook Live. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah.
I'm gonna live stream the death just because
that was always my plan. Facebook Live it.
This is how it's going to go down. But the cool thing about you is, and I want to talk so much about all the things you have going on, because it seems like you have filled the last year of obviously lack of touring and all the other things that have been you haven't been able to do with a ton of stuff. Like you're like a busy cat, like with the producing and mixing and songwriting and stuff. Like you haven't really skipped a beat with all the things you've had going on in the last year, missing out.
Oh, it's taken a mental toll for sure. I mean, like I don't remember. I have a weird taste in my mouth all the time. Everything. And I thought it started when I heated up some food from Costco.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the weirdest flavor in my mouth. Something like tarragon, I think, is spice.
Tarragon's a spice.
Yeah. And I was like, man, those things are just like the strongest like flavor, and everybody's like looking at me because everybody else had some, because I cooked some enough for the band. I wasn't gonna eat all of it because it tasted terrible, and they were just like, I don't know what you're talking about. It tastes pretty normal. It's like Mexican food or something. I'm like, nah, man, some. And then and the coffee tasted like that.
Tarragon coffee.
Like, we get food from like one of my favorite all-time restaurants, Callaloo. It's this Trinidadian restaurant nearby, and they have this coconut jerk is with like the bus up shut and just like this, you know, flaky stuff you dip in. And then that tasted like it. I was like, oh God, I'm just getting these weird you know, I mean, like I work out every day. I try to be like healthy and stuff. And I think my body's finally just like, I don't want to sit behind the computer anymore, man.
Get me out of this place, please.
Get me out.
But did you have Corona? Did you have the virus? You had the vid?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So that's like, if that's like an unspoken about like after effect, like, by the way, everything you used to enjoy now tastes like tarragon.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's supposed to happen 5 months late.
it's you know a reaction.
So everybody's like, well, there are problems. It was like, oh no, like I will say my taste was dulled heavily during coronavirus because my mom kept bringing soups by and leaving them on the porch. The benefit of living right near mom and dad. I know I mentioned my parents quite a few times for a grown adult, but they're still a big part of my life. So so she's dropping soups by. I remember just being like, this soup fucking sucks. Where's this from? Harvest? Their food's usually really good. And it was like, I had it pretty bad for like 3 weeks. And there was a point like later on where I was like, still like, you know what? I'm gonna have one of those mom soups. It was just a burst of. I was like, man, they actually made this one pretty good this time.
This is amazing. Miraculously, they changed the recipe.
I think they remember the salt.
For the
I was
last
like, no,
3 weeks, yeah.
my taste was out, but everything, I was fatigued for a while. I was like
Mm,
real fatigued, and my voice sounded different for a little bit. Like
mm.
I was singing demos for people, and I sent them to Melissa, my coach, and she was just like, Ricky, there's a Brian Adams about this. It was like, yeah, didn't have that before. Thanks, Corona. And everything went back to normal pretty quick. And 5 months later, got a weird taste in my mouth.
We got tarragon, man.
But no, so yeah, no, I do work a lot, and the thing about it is, and I'm used to different environments. I'm
Mm,
used to performing here, going there, that. When you're just working on stuff all the time on the same computer screen, the same setting, and when you're used to moving around and stuff
mm.
releasing and getting feedback, right now you're writing and producing for everybody, and they take it and they're like, all right, we're gonna release this in a couple of years.
That's
Every,
quite a delay.
yeah, like every local unsigned bands right now, you record something, you give it to them, they're like, well, we're gonna shop this around. You're like, those labels don't have any money.
They got nothing, man.
I'd be like, hey, you want to, especially the new bands. We're gonna be like, hey, we got a new band here. They don't have a single fan, not a single piece of released music. And this label that's in like financial dire straits. Everybody looks up and they're like, new band. No,
No.
no infrastructure. All right.
This seems like a good investment. Where's the checkbook? Did we lose that?
Yeah.
The checkbook?
Do people still use checks, or can we Apple Pay?
Just have them swipe the square, dude. It'll be fine. PayPal.me, something or other.
Can they tour? No one can. Oh yeah.
You can buy merch online, right? They have no merch. They have no merch yet. Okay, well, cool. That's cool.
Oh, we could just make some.
Yeah, generic logo, generic. Someone with a skull, dude. Put a skull on it.
Yeah. Watching all the unsigned bands, and they'll always like lay out the release strategy for me, and I'm just like, yeah.
Do you interject a lot? Do you interject your 2 cents a lot?
All the time.
Oh yeah, okay. With them, you're like, not this.
They're like, can I give an unsolicited opinion? I had one incident, I won't say with who, but it was like this one band, the one guy in the band was like, he was a new guy too, and he was big on ideas and all of them. And I remember just finally hitting a point because I was getting stressed out because we spent 3 weeks of my life on this thing, you know what I mean? And they were coming back. I think it's going to be like another 2 for mixing. So it's like, that's 5 weeks of your life put into something. You get a little defensive about it every now and then, especially when you think it's good. And the one guy's going on and on about his release strategies, and I remember just turning around. I got this chair here, as you can see. It's a standing chair, so you can stand with a shittier attitude like this.
A little more.
Well, it's great because you can. So if you really want a shitty attitude, you can get like right there. Turn around. I was just like, show of hands. Who here has ever marketed a successful release in any capacity? I'm like, nobody raises their hands and be like, show of hands. Who here wants to have their release that someone's spending 5 weeks of their life on marketed by someone with absolutely no experience or success in the field? Like, show hands. There's no wrong answer. You can raise a hand if you want. Yeah, to be like, sorry, buddy, nobody raised their hand. I don't think we're gonna do a podcast tour.
Come on down, jump on the show. We'll talk to people.
I mean, I didn't know you at this point.
Well, see, now the floodgates will open up with with great strategy.
I'm just gonna start sending them all your way. I know a guy.
I know a guy. He'll talk shit.
I know a Cooper.
I mean, what more do you need? Now, what I need to get though is I need to get the chair, because I think that really completes the ensemble.
It does. It actually does. Like it kind of. You
can put some lean into it. So like if I get remotely bored with the conversation, I can just be like, like slowly move out of frame.
You do this, you're like, are you trying to exit frame?
I'm going to give you guys the whole screen here. Just hold on. I'm going to be
Yeah.
just over here, just tapping into some.
I guess I should plug the company. They're called Lean Right. It's a standing chair, but I love this thing. It's great. It's a right spelled the same way that Rite Aid spells it.
RITE. Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
I emailed them. I just emailed. It's like, hey, I want one of those things. I can't afford it. It's like, but I got a blue check mark on Instagram, and I hate throwing that around. But
Boom.
yeah, I'm pulling the influencer card, and the guy was like, I got a scratched up one in my garage. I'll sell you for cost. I was like, deal. And so I got to plug them because this thing's great. Like it goes in your lumbar.
And it gives you that extra dimension when you have to tell somebody in a band, like, pardon me.
Yeah.
Let's have a chat real quick. Like,
fucking great for exposition. Where you're like somebody saying something, you're just like you got to set the settings right for the conversation where you're like, hey, you know, like the really low one with the full turnaround for when you got to deliver bad news.
Can we get a slow-mo on here? Add a slow-mo feature to the tune. Like, hey, coming in like this.
Yeah.
We're gonna have one of these. No. Have you, to talk about all the things you've done over the course of the
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, no, I love the chair. It's much better than my my thoughts and perspective. But you talked about your palette changing. Maybe this is all a great loop tie-in. Palette changing with the Tarragon. Have you noticed, because you haven't had those moments of being out, you talked about your environment constantly changing during a typical year. Has your palette changed at all for the music? Because really now you're just like you're in it 5 weeks at a time. Like, fuck, dude, I'm in
it. It really has.
Yeah.
I think in ways that you wouldn't expect. Like, I mean, I've been I have been on a big kick with like the all the new alts and sludges and all the new musical genres that are happening, mostly just because I have to be for my job,
Right.
The one thing about it is I came up in the so I came up in metalcore and metal and and metalcore is like it's its own monster now, where it's like even like I think I'd say like when I started touring, early 2000s, I was pretty young, and I was going on tours back then. I was in a metalcore band, and I'd say like early mid 2000s, you always had to explain what that meant, where you're like, it's heavy, but it's different. It's like there's a lot of kick drums and a lot of china and like a lot of weird rhythms, and like because if you showed up at a show where you have bands that are doing like like death metal, or
Right.
like thrash metal, or bands that are more inspired by like Pantera or Slayer, anything like that. It's like a totally different culture, different
Right.
style of clothing, different gear, different recording techniques. The whole entire genre and the recording process of it. There's like a bunch of pioneers. There was a bunch of guys that kind of created this sound, and that's like what I came into for a living, was trying to replicate this like this form of recording that's so inefficient, so difficult, and you know what I mean? It's like you're basically you're doing so much work to make this one specific thing. And I think like when it comes to my palette, like over time, I think just psychologically my brain just keeps wedging me closer and closer to things that are just easier to make. So it's like I have some bands that I work on where it's like you're editing a million different kick drums and a million different things to make this one thing. And then, I'm listening to something that really I'm like, man, I could record this in like 35 minutes. I love this.
You'd be done.
It's just like a guy singing over a simple guitar part, and then the pad comes in and you're listening. You're like, this is nice. So I do find myself, but I think when it comes to the stuff that I like and I listen to and I enjoy making, you kind of go into deeper holes where it's just like, I like everything still. I just like it being done right. You know what I mean? Like whereas to before, I think I was always trying to put an overall like my style on everything. I try to get rid of that. I don't want my style on anything because there's always something about it there that one of my producer friends, whenever I show them something, they're like, "Oh yeah, this is a Ricky recording." I'm trying to get rid of those things, but they always end up there. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think it's like it's weird once you're just like going all the time. You just end up like tweaking individual smaller things. So it's like
Mm.
it's not like I love metal any less. It's just like if I want metal, I want it to sound like
Right.
goddamn metal. I don't want it, you know what I mean? If I'm like
Right.
working on something really heavy and then the pop chorus is coming in, I'll be like, can we just save this for when you want to write an actual goddamn like pop rock song? Like, can we please just
Follow-up
make this?
album.
Yeah, can we just please make this thing sound like the scene on CSI where the guy's getting tortured?
That'd be great. And
Yeah.
stick with that for the whole song. That'd be ideal.
My friends in August Burns Red got on CSI. I'm happy about it.
Oh, very nice. There's
Yeah.
so many CSIs. Which is CSI Lancaster, which there's so many CSIs, isn't there? Still,
I think it was CSI Harrisburg.
oh, good. Well, woof. Lancaster would have been running through cornfields and stuff. It'd be like doing CSI Wisconsin. Like,
I just wish they could have one show about Lancaster where it's just about like like the only time that the Amish are showing up is just when you're being slightly inconvenienced by them.
it's timing, dude. So we got the same thing up here. Actually, there's a couple of Amish farms right around the Rockfest grounds, and it's always weird. Make them drive out there, and you got tons of cars and stuff, and all of a sudden there's a horse and buggy just coming the other way, and you're like, are they escaping or are they going to like pray for us? Like, what's happening? I want to stop and have like 5 minutes. Like, you want to jump on the podcast, or is that like we can't do that? Like they can't be a part of the show.
They're always updating like what they're allowed to use, and I imagine by this point they got to be on like Facebook or something like that.
They do. I mean, how else do you get the how to survive Corona out? Like how do you pass that information along? Like, hey, we got to go put this shed up this weekend. There'll be 500 people there. Let's have a talk.
I always assume those people are freaks too. Not like what I mean. Like they're always out chasing tail.
Oh,
like all the time.
Like because what else?
Why else would you be getting pulled around by a horse? You know what I mean?
And what else occupies your time? Like you're like, oh, I get up at 3:00 in the morning, and now it's noon, and I got shit to do. So like, what's up, girl?
I dropped a enclosed trailer off at my friend's folks' house. I just had to get it out of the way, and I'm gonna fix it up and sell it. And they live out in the Amish in a very it's populated by a lot of Amish, and we were having a conversation because a child died, like 40 feet from where I parked the trailer, just like very, very recently before that. And that's an issue that happens out there because those families, like the children are out there by machinery, and that's something that like happens in those communities fairly frequently, where they're just like, I want to. And an 8-year-old child just died over there, and you're like, oh man.
So should I move it?
And then the CSI episode.
CSI shows up. Gil Grissom shows up. Like,
No disrespect to that child, I'm sure.
No, they're never gonna hear this, dude. They're never gonna hear this. Not once.
True.
They won't, unless we get them on the show. We'll see. I was and on my drive out there every day, so I go to the fest grounds every day. And one morning, it was odd. So I'm a workout guy. I get up in the morning and I run every day. Nice. And I'm on the way to work after my run, and there's an Amish guy just running down the road. Like, got the hat, got the beard. I could probably be his twin in a weird way, but he's just like running. And it didn't look like he was running from something or running towards something because it's just basically a long road. I'm like, I wonder if he's out getting his grind on. He's like, I'm putting some miles today. I felt good. I wanted to say like stay hard, bro. Like stay hard. Keep after it. Like throw some David Goggins shit at him or something,
It's got a Fitbit.
He does. He's trying to hide it from the family. And it beeps during dinner. Jebediah.
Trying to track his progress.
He probably just blames it on like, it's probably just possession or something. Like it was the devil came into me for a second.
It is always funny when I have people like fly in to work with me, which I recently do because you get stuck behind a buggy every now and then. and listen, their reactions are always like, this is blowing my mind. And it's just like, and you realize that it's like such a normal part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you don't think about it often. It's
Mm.
just, and we have horse parking
Yeah.
at which like, so the only difference is we have like a couple more insults. Like there are like specific insults to this area, like horse parking's over there, bitch.
I'm gonna jot that down because we have places around here. They're like, "Why is there?" I'm like, "Don't you fucking worry about it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
look the other direction. It's gonna be
yeah.
fine. Don't ask any questions because they're freaks. They'll chase you down like rabid dolphins, dude. It's out of control." Good stuff though. Amish, they'll never hear this. But you being away from the road for now a year, and so many projects. I mean, this is the Apocalypse, into Hawk, into Ice Nine Kills. I mean, there's so many different things that you've had your hands in. And that's just obviously the tip of the iceberg. But and I want to talk about all of those bands, but for you in producing, that is I want to say it's a big jump, but like when do you take the like doing music and then producing and then like, oh, this is going to be my thing. This is going to be my doing the band stuff, go out with Ice Nine Kills, do Hawk. Like when does, sitting in a studio, like creating music for other people become like, this is my thing. I'm going to do this now.
I didn't want a job.
Makes sense.
And
I hear you.
I kind of started producing accidentally. I was giving I used to give vocal lessons to well, I still do. But when I did them before in the past, I was just helping people learn how to scream.
Right.
And I'd have people here, and I had a student, and long story short, had time booked at a big studio. It was months out. And his guitar player quit and was like, "Fuck you, man. I'm not letting you use my songs." He was just venting to me about it. He was like, "Dude, they put a couple $1,000 down payment on their studio time." And the studio was just like, when they hit him up, they're like, "Dude, I don't know what we're going to do. We don't have songs. Our guitar player just quit." And the studio was like, "Well, you guys already booked, and we don't return deposits. It's already in the schedule." You know what I mean? Like that studio, like those guys are just like, they probably, they didn't have that balance in the PayPal, and they were like, yeah, tell it. And they were just like, "Well, we can just make some songs when you get here or something." I don't know. So the guy was like, he was venting to me about it, and you know, I thought jokingly, I was just like, "You give me 300 a song, and I'll just write them for you." And he like looked at me, and he was like, "Would you need a down payment?" And then I remember, like, as the tone of the discussion was getting more serious, I was like, "What?" Like, I was just like, I mean, there's stuff I would need because I had a recording software on my computer. I had like a cheap laptop,
Right.
sit there, make beats, and I was learning how to like write songs for this or the Apocalypse because Grant McFarlane, who wrote everything, he was leaving, and I was like, "Well, I don't want a job yet," so so I so I'm like learning how to do it. I was showing him. I was like, "Well, I can make songs that sound like this." He was like, "These are great," and so he gives me I go for a meeting with him and his family at like out to eat. I'm like just selling my services that don't exist, where I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna write him some songs." And they're like, "All right." And we like make a contract. And then that was the beginning of my career producing, because I did that. And then the studio like actually heard the stuff, and they're like, "Hey, this is good." And they reached out to me, and they were like, "Did you do all this?" I'm like, "Yeah." So they're like, "Why don't you come by and why don't you record some stuff here? We'll and I was like, "Well, I haven't used Pro Tools before." And they're like, "I will show you." And I think that's when they found out just the sheer level of, I have no fucking idea what I'm doing was going on. Where it was like I could do, like there was things I could do, but a lot of things I couldn't. And so then they started showing me stuff, which is awesome. And then other bands started reaching out to me, because that band got signed to a small label, and then other bands started reaching out to me like, "Hey, do you want to work with us?" And they're like talking to like actually make their CD and mix it and finish it.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever been broke, like unimaginably broke,
Been there.
but like, I've gone through dumpster diving phases. I try to keep it together, you know what I mean? I try to, but like, I've
You gotta know your dumpster though. You gotta know
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I know what's in here.
you know, grocery store certain
Mhm.
times, certain things.
Yeah.
This is a while back, but it's just, I took every gig and I just figured it out as I went. And my first full record that I made was Gladiators on that was released on CI Records, and
Mm.
I think I spent like 6.5 months on it because I had
Wow.
no idea what I was doing, but I was gonna make sure it was done right. And then I just kept working with band, and then a couple years goes by, and I was like, well, I wasn't even planning on doing this,
Mm.
and so I'm like looking for a different gig, and I don't know if something just happened at a certain point. I think probably like had a psychedelic, and out of nowhere, I was just like,
Mm.
you know what? I don't hate what I'm doing. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, this is fine. And so I really started taking it seriously. I, built this kind of studio. I have like a drum room. I have a bunch of rooms here. We have a garage up there that Adam works in, and now we do like photo video stuff.
Mm.
And it's come together over time. But it was then the Ice Nine Kills thing happened, and that that helped out a great deal. So for me, it was just kind of like I needed money,
Mm.
and I also didn't want to make money doing something that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I've kind of even now, like I'm sure you found this before, as you get more into like a profession, you start learning how to specialize more and more. And I
Mm.
found what I try to specialize in is I want to write and I want to like track things. And so I almost when I have a band here, I'll have like my piano right in front of me, and then I'll have like a guitar on. I'll have
Mm.
the microphone right here. And you'll be like, yeah, track that. You throw it back there so they can sing it. I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna add a layer of like got a guitar, blah, blah, and I get to just play music. I get
Right.
to, and it helps my voice out so much. Like I always struggled with singing and stuff like that.
Mm.
Now I do it every single day, and they're sometime over the last year I started being like, hey, kind of I'm like, I don't mind my voice now. Yeah, I always hated it.
Get
So
better with it.
I'm just a big believer in if you can get paid to do something that at least gets you better at things that you enjoy doing,
Mhm.
because I definitely wouldn't have been able to pull off that Ice Nine gig had I not been sitting down here working on music all the time. And I couldn't, there's so many, there's so many, dominoes in place. So, I just didn't want to end up in a situation where I'm like, I find a job somewhere where it keeps me away from doing the thing that I like to do. But it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You can do the thing that you love doing enough.
there, there is a limitation. There is
Oh,
a
yeah.
shelf life.
Oh, it becomes the thing that you fucking hate sometimes.
Have you reached that
Yes.
point on
Yeah,
occasion? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Has it happened over the last year? Because I mean, it's really been like this is
Yeah.
it's great to have that the capability to be like you have your space, and obviously as you get more into it and you start to, like you said, kind of hone in on a place that you want to be, and the equipment evolves and the software evolves, and all of a sudden you have all this stuff, and but you had all those other outlets. You got to go
Yeah.
and tour with Ice Nine. You got to go out and do stuff with Hawk, and you got to kind of be, and now you're like a year plus every day, every single day, the same room, it's the same equipment. I
Not to get to get real,
mm,
the the one thing that I wasn't, the one thing that can wreak havoc is, like, negative psychological spirals,
mm,
like, you know, normally, like depression or whatever,
yeah,
they can really wreak havoc on a creative career,
mm,
very, very badly, because I can turn a job that could take me 4 hours into 50 hours of misery
mm,
by just like doing it again and again. And the thing about it is, and you learn a little bit when you're creating something like music, there's an endorphin, release that's
yeah,
associated with things going right.
mm,
Um, and when you can't make that happen, you're fucked
yeah,
because everything is bad
mm,
in that case, even when it's fine. Because I come back to things that are just not working, you know, sometimes, and like the little folksy, like, oh, you just need fresh ears. You just got to walk away, and walk
Mm.
away to what? The world is shut down.
Where
Just
are we
go in the
going?
backyard. You go in the backyard. Just stand out there. Remind my neighbors I'm weird. Just stand there and like just look off and just go, I'm in a better mindset now.
Yeah,
No,
I'm gonna go watch the Amish and see how they do it.
you know, and that's the one
Mm.
spot where it's like you have to working out of the house and being somebody who's like, oh, I'll just I'll just put my face down directly on my keyboard and just and a year will go by, and it's like there are problems with
Mhm.
with that. So, finding the balance there, it can be tough, but you find it and you get through, you keep doing stuff. So, the one thing that I always I have to keep perspective. I have to send things to people constantly and be like, "Hey, I'm like, my brain's not working today, so like
Right.
I just need some feedback on this." And that can help out a ton.
No, absolutely. I think it as a re-engagement of where you're at, if you're in that headspace too, where you don't feel like you're being creative and you don't feel like it sounds good, and you're, you know, in the downward spiral towards everything sucks.
Yeah. Well,
Having
when your job's to make things sound a certain way,
right,
but you literally can't, like, even if you did it better than ever and it doesn't, and your brain's just like, nah, mm-mm.
that ain't it.
It's like it had such a that can be a really tough space. And I know so many creatives who are dealing with that right now, because the thing about it is like there is a certain number of you need interactions with
Mm,
different people. You need to go see things. You need to you need to sometimes change your scenery and your environment. And I think, just like most people at first with all this shit, I was like, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna make so much money. I'm gonna stay
I'm just
home.
gonna sit here
I'm
and
gonna
work.
cook. Yeah, I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna meal prep. I'm gonna get in
Mm.
shape. And then, a year and a half later, you're like, are you fucking serious?
Give me a pizza.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. It's the whole world being, in a weird state, and it's weird from state to state too, because here in Wisconsin we have three major music festivals, two country and one rock, all planning to go. There's this sense of enthusiasm and excitement, obviously from the community that lost a shit ton of revenue. Our roads suck worse now because we don't have that economic boost that we get when you have 25-30,000 people coming to these festivals, 3 weekends out of the year. But then you also have obviously the music fans that are just like, I need to get out because I'm about to kill a bitch and it's not going to be good. Get me out to a show. So there's this
Yeah.
move towards positivity. But it's weird to have other places that it's like, nope, sorry, you stay in your basement and you eat your food and you work on your job and you don't get to go out and play yet. So
Yeah.
it's weird to be in two different spaces, and it's gonna look weird when every place is like, all right, cool, let's see what happens. Let's open the doors and see what happens.
It's tough it's also tough to just acknowledge what's happening with
Hmm.
people's social lives. Are
Hmm.
you've just gone through a year and a half of an entirely different social situation. You've gone through a year and a half of so many different I'm always like, man, how different is this world gonna be?
Hmm.
Especially for, like somebody uh whose whole career is based on the social aspect, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I do think the other thing is, um, I mean, you see how people were going pretty hard at spring break. Uh, that putting that to the side, I do think there is going to be, hopefully, just like a big, just a movement of a desire for people to go experience things, to go have fun, to go do something else. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I I I think that I do think there are going to be a lot of people who want to get out.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think there's excuse anymore if there's a show coming to town, and no matter the venue, cap room, whatever. Like if you can get into that show, go to the show. Don't miss it because hey, I'll just catch them the next time. Yeah, I'll be fine. They'll be back in the tour route to come through here another year. Like they just We didn't have anything. Like, people get excited about tour posters now. They're like, yes, tour posters are my favorite fucking things in the world. And even though the show may not happen, I can't wait to see this. Hopefully the show happens. And there's a weird, uh, because people have been driven to, whether it's social media or whether it's, being, Netflix and chill for 378 days now. Like, I don't want to say the people with weaker minds, but people could have had an altered mind where now they're like, I don't want to go out. I don't want to leave the house. I want to stay in here because, and here's my safe space. I can't leave. I'll watch the show on YouTube. Like,
yeah, you're gonna be weird. Everybody's gonna get institutionalized.
Yeah. We are not AI yet, but
it'll be interesting to see, because I was just in a car accident the other day. It wasn't bad. The other car didn't have a dent. My car got totaled.
Oh.
I don't know how that works.
It shouldn't work that way. It doesn't.
I was merging. I was trying to get over. Traffic was moving forward. I looked over, and I think I was just being sluggish. You know what I mean? I look back, So I slammed on the brakes. I couldn't stop in time. I guess there was a stop up ahead. Somebody, tried to change lanes, or something dumb happened, but
right.
So we pull over and is what police show up, and we got everything figured out, but I'm like, I'm just in this like uncomfortable circumstance, and I'm not in my house, and then I'm just like, what do I do? I'm like on the phone with insurance. I mean, it's all getting figured out fast. It wasn't like traumatic or anything like that, but I was just thinking about where I was just like, I am getting very used to not having to deal with anything outside of my house, or any experiences that are just like, you can't really nope out of that.
Right.
You're just kind of there like, this is so foreign, and I feel naked and helpless. You know what I mean? You're just sort of like, this is different. Cause I was touring like 7 or 8 months out of the year with the Ice Nine Kills thing, and you're just in your life is just a series of uncomfortable circumstances.
you adapt. You got to adapt.
Yeah, you wake up and the bus isn't moving, and then you get out of it and there's nowhere to eat nearby or anything, and you're just sort of like, all right, so this is one of these days. All right, let's check what's in the kitchen. And you're just like, there's some oatmeal that's like a year old. All right, got that. What's up next? Is your whole life. Yeah. But and then you're having fun, you're doing stuff. Now it's just sort of like everything is insulated, and you're like safe. Your safe area, everything's familiar, and that's I'm ready to break that.
Yeah.
I'm ready to just get out of that situation.
Is there any plans? I know it's tough to plan a whole lot of stuff, but is there any, feelers out there, any plans for?
I think there are.
Yeah.
I know we have stuff on the schedule, and everybody's really optimistic about it. There's every time there's something to announce, or we hear about something, there's always like, hey, we don't know if this is going to happen, but hopefully, so I mean, there's like one festival in September that we're marked down for. I mean, I saw some Byzantine, that metal band, just announced a bunch of a tour in July, so I guess we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take that. I mean, our festivals here, we have a June and a July, a June and 2 Julys around here, and it's almost like, since nothing has officially happened yet anywhere, it's kind of going to be like when Texas opened up. Everybody was like, let's just stand back. Let's stand back and observe, see what happens. Take some notes.
How did that go? Did that go okay?
There hasn't been any. They're still open. The Texas Rangers are playing at a full stadium. Nice. for baseball, and I know a lot of artists have targeted that state. I mean, the ones that really want to get, like, they don't have any other source. They're not. Like, well, I was putting flooring in, and now I really like to get back out to doing things that I enjoy doing, instead of watching my life get sucked down the toilet. So they're like targeting states like Texas, Mississippi, Florida. Like we can,
Yeah.
but it's even getting tough, I think, to try to line that up, especially if you're like an indie band or you're doing your own tours and stuff, or even, people that are putting tours together. They're like, this doesn't look like a normal tour map should look. It looks like something like some sort of weird, like, in movies where there's somebody gets possessed, they do those weird, that's what the tour route looks like. Cause it's like, oh, we're going to zigzag back. We got to jump around
In
Alabama.
2007, I used to go on MySpace and
Mm.
lie my way into getting This or the Apocalypse shows while we were on tour. Because we would just drive out, we'd have like 5 shows booked, and they would just drop me off at a Panera with a laptop that I bought from my friend Curran for like $200. And I'd just sit there, get on Panera's free Wi-Fi, because there was always free Wi-Fi at Panera. That was like, and that was like, that was their thing. You couldn't,
Right.
it wasn't like you'd get them, there was no Wi-Fi at McDonald's or anything else. So all Panera. I just sit there, message different, like I'd find bands on shows because there's shows and look within 100-mile radius, and you just message one of the bands and you're like, hey, Phil hasn't gotten back with us with the load in time. We're the openers for the show. And they're like, who the fuck's Phil? Like, Tim's putting the show on. You're like, God damn it, man. Can you get us Tim's number? I'm sorry about it. You have Tim. Hey, this band, we just got the information load-ins at this time, and they're like, who are you? We're like, we're the opener. Phil reached out to us. We're on tour, and he offered us a spot. And they're like, who the fuck is that? We're like, we're like, LOL, my God, his fucking MySpace profile's deleted. And you're like, this is just a game, this is like literally, I'd be like, dude, I can't pay you, but you can play a 25-minute set and sell some merch, and be like, thanks, man, that's great. And you're just and those tour routes, we're just basically doing a pentagram around the Midwest, where you'd be like Illinois, Indiana, or like Illinois, or like Wisconsin. You make your way into Wisconsin, and like sometimes you think you're gonna go farther to Wisconsin, and you're like, well, back to Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, Ohio, Illinois. We played a pagan festival.
Ooh.
Never forget, outdoor pagan festival.
And all from MySpace. Hey, Phil told us we could open the show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Phil was there.
Phil reactivated his MySpace page. He was like, "Oh, you guys."
No, I actually think we got sought out for that one, I think. And then we showed up. It was like, we were driving down like 7 minutes of dirt roads, and we just ended up at a pagan festival in Illinois. And I don't want to speak ill of it, but it was something.
It was an experience that you'll always remember.
They had like a photo area. There's just like a guy with a camera. So if you want to like lick your knife and get your cool picture, your like pagan picture. I don't know. They all had a big thing with knives, and then you're like, I was like interviewed for a couple pagan zines.
Pagan zines.
Yeah, I think I had a mullet back then. I thought it'd be funny to get a mullet for our first tour. So like it was like it was a real mullet.
Do you feel like that added to that experience, being at a pagan festival with the mullet? I mean, was there like hey, that guy looks like he belongs here. Where's his knife?
I'll have to talk to my God about that.
pick your god or goddess if you're at a pagan festival. You're gonna be like,
yeah, sure.
Talk to Sheba. She'll know. she'll have the answer. Where's my knife? Gonna need it. Jody's popping on here with a question. Let's see what she got.
Jody's here.
Jody's in the house watching on the Twitch. What's your favorite venue so far that you played?
Oh man,
I
never get over the Glass House in Pomona, California. It was such an amazing venue, but there's so many good venues. What's like one recently? We did that tour, Ice Nine Kills. We did a tour where it was like a lot of House of Blues. And I will say that when we were playing places that weren't House of Blues, it was annoying. Like, where's my salsa?
This is bullshit.
Where's it's always in the refrigerator, and they check twice to see if we need any more.
This is bullshit. Oh, we got another one here. We got here.
Ricky, the hoodie's sick. Thanks.
Sick hoodie.
Yeah, Nick from Pray For Us will appreciate the shout out.
Nice. The story for you joining Ice Nine Kills is an interesting one, and you kind of talked about it. It all stemmed from this fall into being a producer
Yeah.
and producing for a band, and then all of a sudden you're on in a different band on
Yeah, they
tour
didn't
with Ice
they
Nine
didn't
Kills.
wanna ask me to do merch, so I was invited to tour manage Carousel Kings when they opened for Ice Nine, and then me and Spencer ended up spending some time
Mhm.
together.
And
And
then
I think he saw my shining charm.
was that and he didn't even have the chair then. I
Yeah,
mean, so it's
yeah.
pre-chair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how it,
I think I've found things to lean on, though. You just find yeah, you just find stuff to lean on.
give him the appropriate answers
Somebody
to his questions.
Yeah,
But that's
somebody shorter and
where's the salsa? Oh wait, we're
yeah.
not at the House of Blues. This is bullshit.
Yeah, this is bull hey, yeah, there weren't many House of Blues shows on that tour.
No.
Oh, it's
It,
crazy. It was crazy because I mean, Ice Nine Kills still they've had a dedicated fan base for a long
yeah.
time, and I always really appreciated the band and what they did because I
Mhm,
remember seeing the video for Hell in the Hallways. I thought it was I thought it was great. Like, it was cartoonish and, campy enough and um and I would always reference that band when I'd be working with bands who were trying to do the scene thing.
mhm,
And I'd be like, who does this stuff really good? It's Ice Nine Kills because I always appreciated Spencer's lyrics were
mhm,
really, really, really good. Like,
yeah.
I understand that he's referencing. I've read criticisms before. It's like, no, you don't understand the amount of detail
Mhm,
and time he puts into making sure that everything is just timed just right. Every reference is like everything, it was my favorite was when I heard the first time I heard, the song about The Shining, where
mhm.
it's like, "I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm just gonna bash your fucking brains in." I was like, "What scene band gets away with that? That's great." And so I was like I was I
Mhm,
they were we had toured before in the past. I knew them. We were like fans of each other, but I really liked the band. So when Spencer reached out to me asking if I could fill in playing guitar on 3 days notice, and I said no. Like, I can't learn that shit. And they're like, "Man, come out anyway, please." And we're like, "All right." And it was I think it was a logical fit just because it's like I have such a history in that exact genre of music,
yeah.
and I'm kinda like a I an all I think most of the I'm a multi-tool, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I can scream, I can sing, I can run around on stage, I can play the fucking guitar, I can kinda play the piano, I can record stuff, I can help mix, "Hey, you need me to tune stuff? Sure, yeah, give me the demo, let's pluck around with it." I think most of the tools that I was early on in Ice Nine,
Mhm,
very, very rudimentary and early on, and then I started spending a lot of time around JD
mhm,
and Spencer and, all those guys, honestly, so talented. But it was like, with JD, he's an incredible, incredible composer. He's
mhm,
very, very, very good. Spencer, incredible writer. Like Spencer writes a lot of the instrumentals, and for him, it's all id. You know what I mean? He just
right.
sits down and just and just the first thing he does is cool,
Yeah.
and he's in love with it, and then he's trying to figure out how to make it work from that point on. And that's just not the type of musician I am. I sit and brood over things. Like I can't just
Yeah.
make something and then get to
Mhm,
work. And so being around those guys, it made me realize like, oh, holy shit, there's a lot that I need to learn.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And they were nice enough to literally show me anything, and they just started incorporating me into stuff. And I think there was kind of like, there was probably a certain acknowledgement between the two of us where they're like, "You're a little rough around the edges, but yeah, you're I think they knew I was kind of scrappy. So,
right.
within a year or two, I started then we got Joe
Mm,
and Dan too, and Pat, like everybody that we've gotten is so talented, but um Dan and Joe specifically, they're really versed in music theory. Joe is like, man, if you know, the guy basically has like a master's in the shit where, you know,
Right.
we're just talking and he's talking like chord theory and harmonies and notes and stuff where he'll be like, oh, well, you're putting a 7 over top of a blah blah blah. So what we should do is move that down and do this inversion. And you know, you gotta,
Mm.
and my job is in this stuff, so I gotta be there and be like, all right, look smart. You're like, you know,
Mm.
you just respond to things with, I know.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great though. So it's those guys really have taught me a lot.
Yeah, and it seems like there's been a lot of absorption for you from starting the producing thing, and then with Ice Nine, and obviously, you know, Hawk. I know you guys released music late last year. But there's a lot of absorption, and a lot of people are willing, you know, which in any genre of music, and really in any entrepreneurial mindset of people, they're like, you know, if you find yourself in the right group, people are willing to share their knowledge with you. They're like,
Mhm.
it's a I would say a privilege to them, but they're like, well, yeah, I'll show you how to do this, the 7 over this, and all. I mean, they're
It's an apprentice art.
yeah,
You know, music
absolutely.
an apprentice art. You learn stuff by showing it to one another. I think a lot of, or you go to school and you pay $150,000 for a degree.
Right.
Um, but I think I've been really fortunate with the number of people like you know, Carson Slovak and Grant McFarlane at Atrium Audio,
Mhm.
Andreas Magnuson, who used to be Studio Red in Richmond, Virginia, Taylor Larson when he was working with Spencer Sotelo from Periphery. I learned a lot from those guys. Josh Strock in LA. I've learned a ton of stuff from him and Zach Jones. And like I've had so many people who have been like, hey, I can show you some stuff. And you go, oh, thanks. And then they just make your life better.
Right.
Yeah.
Instant improvement.
Yeah.
100%. I have to. I'm going to get you out of here. I know you've jumped on early. I don't want to take too much of your time up, but I just want to. I know your dog Sparks has his own Insta,
Yeah.
and am I mistaken? Does he have his own apparel line coming out? Is that
So we did one run and
okay?
we're gonna do more. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So
I was,
we're actually, you know what? I'm gonna message Nick. I'm gonna
since we, I was because I'm obviously, you know, checking out your Insta profile, and I was like, oh, you know, is it
let's
Sparkbucks? And I was like, oh, what's it? Sparkbucks coffee? Like, oh, it's
let's
just
fucking
it's
do
for the
some
dog.
Spark merch.
And then I clicked on the link, and I was like, this dog has got his own merch line. This is fucking genius.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Let me hit.
And it's happening as we speak. He's making another batch of Sparkbucks coffee
Yeah.
merch for everybody to enjoy. That's awesome.
All right. I sent the necessary text messages out.
Boom. See, we're making stuff happen here today. And
Good.
does Sparks, does he have an ego now that he's, you know, he's like got his face on t-shirts and stuff and coffee mugs and hoodies and
He's like one of the strangest dog. He has such a character. He is like
yeah,
so much character. But he taught it's funny because he behaves totally different with me than with other people. So with me, we have a very like we have a relationship of respect for one
mhm,
another. You know, at the end of the
yeah,
day, he'll like I'll hold him and we'll watch some TV at the end of the day. But he just walks up to people and demands that they pet him just by being ah ah. It's great.
that's amazing. See, we got a couple of, I'll get to a couple of questions here and then we'll let you go. I know you, like I said, you got a million things going on here. Another one on here. Do you prefer touring with Hawk or Ice Nine? Ooh,
I could never pick.
yeah, I was going to say,
Like I really do love singing. I I
yeah,
I love I love to sing, but I get to do that in Ice Nine.
yeah,
So Ice Nine, the touring conditions are clearly, you know, we've been in a bus for a bit. That's great.
right.
But I will say that when Hawk finally got out on the Attila Crown the Empire tour, I hadn't had that much fun in so long, and I think it
Right.
was just getting the chance to just be different duties, different responsibilities. Hawk, it's still, you know, when you're in a smaller band, there's a lot less stuff to do during the day. So I actually found myself, I was doing martial arts with like Andy. I was having
Mhm.
fun. Ice Nine, you know, we have a couple VIP events a day. We have interviews. We're it's work. It's
Yeah.
like it's a job. Not to say we don't have fun. We have tons of fun, but the experiences are so much different that there's no picking one or over the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, the DOS is always interesting to watch what bands have to go through. It's like, as a fan, when fans come into the venue, they're like, well, the doors open at 7 and the show starts at 8. And they're like, these assholes probably had to do morning radio. They probably did, like getting up at, like, doing an acoustic show at 6 a.m. And that's always fun to do. And then all the stuff throughout the day and VIP stuff and all that. It's just like, that's a full fucking day.
The thing is, it's not like
right.
hard work. I'm not going to a coal mine, but but it can be. The sleep deprivation is real. There are times where you're not getting a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And you got to be, up and at 'em. You have to be alert and awake, and there's a lot of different. You're basically just constantly in a logistical problem-solving situation, because all the time even when you have a crew full of people, and you have, we have Dawn, we have our tour manager, who's, she does a ton of shit, and she's like always like planning. We have, Alex, Elmo, Derek, we have Chris, we have like these people who are like, they're totally integral to the team on a level where it's not like they get treated differently than the band members. But even with all these people and everything, there is like always a need for urgency. Always.
Yeah.
And that was when I did the Hawk tour, that was one of the first times where it's like, you loaded in, we didn't have a sound check. So it's like, we got our stuff to the sound guy, and, we plug in all of our shit, and you're just like, all right, guess I'm going to walk.
So I'm going to walk southwest.
Yeah.
Directional.
Just in case of a tornado.
Never know. Hey, Ricky, it's been such a pleasure, man, to chat with you for the last hour plus, man. And I love all the stories, and we could probably go on for much longer about much more things. But thank you for the time, and I really look forward to getting you back out on the road, and hopefully running into you. We'll both be traveling the same cardinal direction away from the tornadoes, man. Appreciate your dad for the info on that.
Hey, no problem.
Awesome. Take care of yourself, man. We'll chat soon.
Take care.
There you go. Thanks to Rick for being on the show. That was fantastic. Great conversation. And thank you to all of you. That's a lot of people jumping in the chat. I'm trying to get as many questions in here as we could. Jody, as always, a pleasure. I was out a few times with my Wise Boys on tour runs, exhausted. Yeah. And then, if you play early in the day, especially like at night, that's Jody. That's actually how I met the guys in Otherwise, was they played early in the day at Rockfest. Like, I think they opened up. So there's like 11 o'clock show, or maybe noon. Gates at 11 and the show was at noon. So they ended up played. They did a 45-minute set and then wrapped up, and we ran into them after they were done, and all sorts of debauchery and stuff. So that was a late night. Like, I called it at well after the last band was done. So 1, 2 in the morning. Them boys was still going at it hard and heavy. So, and probably packed up, slept on the road, and went back to do a show the next day. So great stuff from Ricky, Ice Nine Kills and Hawk, and a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Jody. Yeah, it's insane. It's always those morning radio assholes make them come in and do acoustic shows at like 6 o'clock. Like, hey, be here like 5:30. We'll do a show at 6. Like, don't blame me. I was the afternoon guy, so it's fine. Thank you to all of you for tuning in for my conversation with Rick, and wherever you're watching, hopefully you're following, subscribing to all the platforms, and we'll be back again tomorrow at the same time, as Cooperville Live is an everyday show, Monday through Friday. We start at 5 o'clock. We have great guests on tomorrow. Peyton Smith is going to be on. Country artist Peyton Smith is going to be on. We'll talk about music. He's got a new release out. He's going to be taking over CMT's Instagram page on Friday. He's doing a show tonight. Full plugged in show. So we'll talk to him about getting back into plugging in and throwing down, and how things are going with that. So to all of you, I say thank you for watching the show. Thank you for being involved with the show. Please tune in. We'll catch you next time. Cooperville.